Alrighty. So I have no notes off the script, uh, unedited. Maybe I might put a little bit of editing. I don't know. But man, it's been another year without a single upload. And it's crazy because on my last video, I was talking about having a creative block in what I am trying to do or pursue in my overall career. And in a sense, that creative block, it's not there. Video wise, it is kind of still there, but in terms of my creativity, I'm utilizing that energy towards something else rather than making videos for leisure. So I want to be a little bit transparent as much as I possibly can with my future self, which is probably what this is going to be for mostly, considering I'm not making any money off of this or any of my videos that I really make. It's unmonetized. Um, but for the most part, some of the reasons why I don't necessarily make as many videos as I wish to, as much as I used to be as a kid, for a few reasons actually. When I was a kid, you have I was using a camera off my PlayStation Vita. Man, we're talking like what, 2010, 2012, off my mom's iPad 2, iPad 3. And with all the time in the world, not having to worry about time, money, you just kind of did it. You had the time to do it. It is what it is, and that was just what you did. That is what I did. Um, and on top of that, um, there is an added thing when you have the time to do something. You find your way into doing something, and that's kind of how you develop those hobbies. And I found a major hobby in doing film and doing videos, creating things, creating stories, telling stories in unique ways in which words cannot necessarily describe. And I found myself loving to do that, um, which, in a sense, as my life kind of continued on, my career has taken a path in which I did essentially a 180. I wanted to be this very creative person, artistic in a way. Um, but as I was in college, as I was in school, um, something scared me, in which the idea of freelance work and inconsistency didn't necessarily fit what I was trying to really achieve in life. And I'm not trying to say um, that it's anyone's fault that I chose this route, but in a ways, I do sometimes wish that I was told differently on how I could have approached certain situations, how I could have solved certain issues in which my creative thought process couldn't necessarily solve, and maybe someone to help guide me into those. And necessarily, I did have that, but maybe I got the advice in which what they thought they would do, and if they're in my situation, rather than what they think might have been best for me overall, and what I want to pursue in my career. So to kind of just explain a little bit further into that, and I'm not trying to bash anyone, especially. Um, I love the people that were involved in my life and what got me into this situation. But I will say this is that I don't feel as if the path that I took in terms of my career was the right one. Um, and essentially, I feel as if um, I wasted a big portion of my life, a big portion of my time. Um, and on top of that, like I said, from versus when you're a kid versus now, you get a massive reality check. So essentially, instead of I stopped investing my time into doing something that I loved doing, and started doing something that I knew that was going to keep me afloat. And that was a big thing. So as I worked on this thing that kept me afloat and continued to work on those skills to float essentially, I found myself really, really depressed in a way, in which I was not enjoying my time. I was not enjoying my life. I feel as if time and my years are going to go by so quick and I'm not even going to realize it. And that thought process was super scary. So because I was focused so much on something else rather than what I really wanted to do, I was very much focused in an area in which I wasn't necessarily happy with, and that kept me away from doing things as it should. When you're so focused on something else and not only that, working your typical corporate job, your 9 to 5, it's unlike when you're done with work, right? So let's just say you clock in at 8, you leave at 5. The moment you clock in versus the moment you clock out, you are physically no longer working. But I'm hoping that, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. Though that you're not physically there, your mind, it's still running. It's still running. It's still working. Thinking about the next day, thinking about, oh man, did I do this? Did I do that? Because there's so many requirements at that that I need to fulfill, and essentially, I'm bringing work home. And when I do that, it keeps me from this being my free time. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing that. And I did start doing that, but I find myself burning out quicker than I normally would. So I'll give you an example. I did start volunteering, being one of the cameramen at my church, and I loved doing it. I loved being where people can focus within me on what I'm doing with the camera movements to view the speaker. This is like, my job is important. This is what I love doing, and also seeing all the things that happen backstage to make the broadcast work for the church. And I found myself, and it was just 2 days out of the week, and at most I'm spending 4 to 6 extra hours doing this. This is something I love doing. I love working with cameras. But it wasn't too quick until I found myself burnt out. Because when I'm doing what I love, the thing that I want to think about is doing what I want to do. But realistically, when I'm there, I find myself dozing off thinking about work. And it becomes super cluttered in my head, in which now I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. On top of that, I started doing Taekwondo again. I got myself back in Taekwondo, which I used to do as a kid. I got myself back into it. Now I started So what I did a little differently. So I stopped doing that, and I switched over doing Taekwondo, because not only was I being burnt out, but it's also my physical health was not good. I wasn't eating. I wasn't active. I was out of shape. So I tried to start focusing more on my physical shape. Do I still mountain bike? Yes, but not as often as I did before. I didn't go as much as I did before. So things are starting to change now. I was volunteering at my doja, and the good thing about why I didn't get too burnt out with that one was because I was essentially knocking out 2 birds with 1 stone. I was focusing on that physical health, in which I needed that, right? And my mental health as well. I was able to learn how to turn off work and truly focus on that. But I did it voluntarily, in which I was able to choose the days on which I could show up. If I wasn't feeling it, then I'm not going to go. But when it came to the church, I had to be there on certain days. So that's kind of how the schedule went. So that happened. So moving on forward, um, because I'm doing all these things, of course, I'm not focused on making videos. I have yet to still post my vacation that I had from last year, 2023 November, in which that one was a bit of a trip because even though I went on vacation, it was the same exact thing. Even though I was out for that entire week and a half or 2 weeks, I still felt as if I was at work. It's because my brain is still going. Not only that, when you get those phone calls and from your managers like, "Hey, what was going on with this?" See, you're not away from work. No matter where I went, I was still at work, and that just overall, it was not great for me. And granted, some people, it works for some people in which they wake up, they go to work, they come back home, and that's that, right? But for me, because I still have a lot of ambition with other things, and doing work was not necessarily my passion to begin with. You see where I'm kind of getting with it, right? Where I want to do something else, but I'm doing something else because I need to in order to financially keep myself afloat, right? It's what pays for my apartment, my place to live. It's what pays for my electricity, my utilities, et cetera, my internet. Um, but yeah, so I was getting burnout, in which that burnout does essentially affect my performance at work. It affected everything that I did at home. It affected my relationships with my parents. It affected my relationships with my friends. I'm not going out as much. I'm not doing as much because all I wanted to do was stay at home and go to bed. And I pushed myself really hard to show up to Taekwondo, to try and do all these things regardless of how I felt. And then it just felt as if like I was essentially a robot. And it everything that I was doing, it was just overall not healthy. So moving on forward, all right, I'm working this 9 to 5. I'm volunteering and trying to still be creative at home and focusing on my physical and mental health. And doing that alone, it's 2 full-time jobs, especially focusing on your mental health. I was not in the right place to do anything because in my mental state, like if I am going to be making or putting together a video, right, I have to be in a good place to do it, because if I'm not, then now I'm just making cuts with no meaning. Now I'm just making transitions with no meaning. I'm putting clips together with no meaning because I'm burnt out and I'm not thinking about my process, right? I'm burnt out doing so many things, so I need to take that step back and relax, but I'm not able to do that. So today's the 21st, 2024. Forgot exactly what day it was, but it was last month, July, at the end of July. What is it, 30th or 31st? I don't even know what months have 31 days still. But by the end of last month in July 2024, I think it was really evident how burnt out I really was, and also it was kind of evident that I was ready to just like quit. I think it was pretty much evident in my attitude. It was pretty much evident in how I worked. It was evident into everything that I did coming into the work and leaving. I wasn't as excited. I wasn't as ambitious. I wasn't as thrilled to be there as I did when I first started working there. Um, and it's also at the end of that month when it happened, and I'll get to what happened. I think I realized exactly where I needed to be and what I needed to do to be there. Um, So it's kind of this, and I don't mean to get too political, but I feel this internally, and I'm not trying to talk statistics. I'm not trying to talk anything or whatnot. This is just purely how I felt. If you can relate to the feeling, then you can. If you can't, then you can't. It is what it is. You know, I'm not trying to argue, but I feel as if in today's society, um, the idea of success is you need to have that corporate job, you need to make that six figures, and you can't. Blue collar work is poor, it's crap. You need to have that corporate job, and that is, not only do you have that corporate job, but you got to make that six figure salary, and that is the measurement that we have of success. And that is kind of the idea that my parents, and I don't mean to bash them on this, I mean they did what they thought was best for me, that doing a blue collar job is not successful. It's garbage. It's not, it's viewed as, socially, it's poor. Oh, you're a plumber. Oh, this is terrible, right? And in a sense, I think I learned, at the end of last month, that idea of success, it's not true. I had to go through 6-7 years into IT to truly figure that out, to truly know that this isn't this that's not what that is. Um, I learned that the idea of success, to make six figures, to be at a desk job, to be a corporate man or be a woman, this it's not a measure of success. The best measurement of success that I've learned, in which, one of my buddies told me, is freedom of time. Being able to do as you please, or doing something that you truly want to do, being able to do what you want at any given time. If you are able to do that, that is what success is, right? And of course, that comes with having to be, financially sound in order to do those things. But I think it's more in the lines of that idea of life is short, right? Life is too short, and we don't know what's going to happen. So, screw it. Let's go out and do it, kind of idea. And I think that idea really is really instilled within people of my age, or our generation, such as millennials or Gen Zers, or whatever you want to call it. People between the ages of 20 and 40 kind of feel, essentially. Maybe people who are a little bit older. I'm not trying to generalize anyone at any particular age, but people within my age group, older or less, might feel as if that this chase of money and this chase of status, it's doesn't mean anything. Like, I could be working and I make this six-figure salary, right? Let's just say I was making $300,000 a year, but I'm miserable because I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm not enjoying my time. My weekends are stuck in meetings in which I'm not paying attention to half the time because it doesn't involve me or anything like that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, I could be financially successful, but in terms, I'm wasting my life away for 1 week of PTO a year. You know what I mean? Just certain things just started to not make less and less sense as I got older and continued to work and chase this corporate dream that I was told to chase, in which it was not working out for me. I needed more control over my life. I needed more control over my time. I wanted to do something that mattered to. I was essentially, I started getting tired working for someone else, working on their dream, rather than working on my own, essentially. So, moving forward, I don't want, I can rant on that all day, but I don't want to beat around the bush on that. But also, to kind of get to the point, at the end of June. I said July earlier. I meant June. At the end of June, um, I was let go of my current job. And essentially what happened with that, it's kind of weird because I've lost my job. Um, Crazy enough, just kind of a fun fact out there. What I learned after the fact is that the average amount of times a person loses their job within their career is roughly around 2 to 3 times. I've already lost my job for the third time in my life, and I'm not even 30 yet. So, and and that's kind of what hit me, and I think it was clear when, like I said, I was experiencing burnout. It was affecting my job. It was affecting my everyday life. I think when I was let go, and most people kind of get this shock of just like, I'm scared. I don't know what else to do. I need to be on unemployment. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to find another job. I need to find another this. For me, when my manager brought me into his next to his desk and is like, "Oh, we're letting you go," I didn't get that normal feeling that people would get. What I got was I felt relieved, because that was when my eyes were wide and open. I'm just like, yep. I think it's because I was already kind of contemplating about, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my career? I was already contemplating about that. And when that incident happened, when I lost my job, now it's like, it felt relieving in a sense, because now I no longer have to worry about this. Now everything that I worried about, what I wanted to do, kind of came front face. I'm just like, all right, yeah, sure, whatever, I'm fired. I'm looking at this right now, you know? And it was, in a sense, it was an eye opener in which I realized, you know what? There's no better time to start going after what I want to do, what I was born to do, than now. And that's kind of where I was at. Of course, you know, I'm not trying to say that it wasn't hard losing my job. It absolutely was. I did struggle trying to stay positive. But now that I was let go, I now feel more in control over my schedule, over my time, the things that I can do, the things I don't want to do, and essentially really taking this entrepreneurship course of my life really seriously, because the only way that I was able to achieve those goals, in which having control over my time, if I can have control over my time, that's successful. And maybe try to incorporate my everyday life into my YouTube channel more so often, because I am an adventurous person. And then now that I have that time, now I can be a little bit more adventurous and share it a little bit more. Something that I haven't been able to do, because the reason why I haven't posted anything for an entire year is because I didn't have any PTO to freaking do anything, right? So when I had PTO, when I went on my vacation in 2023, I filmed it. I still haven't put the video together because all I had time to do was to go on vacation. I didn't have time or the mental capacity to come back home and edit it every single night. I was too exhausted. I was burnt out. So that's why it's just like, it's been delayed and I haven't really done anything. But now it's like, it's been roughly about a month since I was let go of my job. And now this first month of being let go, now I'm trying to figure out what pieces I have. What am I going to do? What steps do I need to do to achieve this goal? And realistically, and I'm trying to keep it as realistic as possible. If I can make something happen within 3 months of being unemployed, then I'll know that I'm heading in the right direction. That I know that I'm doing the right thing. But like I said, having that financial that time freedom is what is my new measurement of success. I think and I feel that I am done chasing this corporate life. I'm done with this whole 9 to 5. It's terrible, especially here in America. Like, for an example, most like I have, and I'm not trying to go too deep into it, but I'm sure everyone has a reason to go to the doctor, right? When you're working a 9 to 5, you you can't go to the doctor, right? Because the doctor's offices are open 9 to 5. Some of them are open over the weekend, but usually those days are always booked, and it becomes a headache. Like, you want to use those weekends to enjoy your time off, but you can't because now you have to worry about so many other things. So it's like you work this 9 to 5 and you're exhausted. You don't, and then, like, let's just say you want to even schedule anything, you can't, because by the time you get off work to try and schedule anything, the offices are closed, and you can't really do anything. I mean, you can try and go, like, for me, like, oh yeah, you can go online and then schedule the appointment that way. Dude, I work with computers all day. When I come home, I don't even want to open up my laptop. I just don't. Like I said, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything, and it takes a massive toll not being able to go to the doctor for certain things, or being able to do things that normally happen throughout the regular day. So what am I supposed to do? Take PTO out of the 2 weeks of PTO that I get a year? Like, by the end of the year, I probably use a week and a half of my PTO to visit doctors and stuff like that. And now I only have, like, 3 days off. You see what I'm saying? Where how easy it is to get burnt out with these corporate jobs. And in order for you to get even a month of PTO time off, you would have to be burning yourself out with the company for like 5 to 10 years just to get a month. You see what I'm saying? Where that corporate idea, it just, like I said, it works for some people, but it does not work for me. And losing my job, I think, made me realize that. Like, all those thoughts and ideas kind of just rushed into my brain. I'm just like, nope, losing my job is probably the best thing that has ever happened to me in my young career. So that's kind of where I'm going at with all of this, is that now, and I was hoping that, last time when I made a video, I talked about my creative block. I was still trying to be creative and do the things that I loved. I tried, volunteering, doing camera work, and doing Taekwondo. I'm using this time of feeling inspired to do something about my life. And not only that, working on my business. That's another thing. I haven't talked too much about it in this video, but I have my own business, in which already not making me a lot of money, but it started, it's going. Now that I have more time, I have time to work on it and truly make something of it now. So I have that time to do it now. And I have to make something happen. But yeah, so losing my job was essentially probably the best thing that has happened to me. And I can't promise that I'd be making more videos like this, because I am still utilizing a lot of my time on other things rather than on editing videos or anything like that, or spending time to document my life or my adventures or whatnot. I haven't really gone anywhere for the past year. At most that I've gone was Spider Mountain. But even when I went to Spider Mountain, it was super hot and my GoPro was just overheating and I couldn't really film anything being there with the time that we had. So maybe I might go take another trip up there and get a few more better shots. But other than that, my life has just been nothing but work, and it's exhausting. And that's why you don't see much video uploads as other YouTubers who, and it's not to say that I'm not passionate about doing it, I really am. It's just my goals are elsewhere. And I'm hoping to achieve them. And I can't do that without your support. So I think that's where I'm going to end this video. But last thing, if you haven't tried so already, go to my website, isabelskitchenhighway6.com, purchase some banana chips from me, Try it out. Tell me what you think. Leave a Yelp review. Leave a Google review. I would love to hear what you guys think. Please, this is my product. My family has been doing this for over 20 years, and I could definitely use your support in trying to make this happen. Thank you guys so much for watching and taking 30 minutes out of your day to listen to what I had to say. Love you guys. Love you all. And I guess I'll see you in the next video whenever I post it or something like that. But anyway, later.